Black environment, which gives me a different psychological, outlook. And I think it's in the formative years, like you are experiencing this in your formative years, but by the time I was the only Black person, I was like 20, and it was okay. Like I worked out I knew who I was by then, so I think you should
take it. That's a very interesting perspective, by the way, and that's something that we covered in our airplane.
Yes, we
love
did.
Affair, our date, 5-hour date. I thought it was interesting that you were telling me that you had to learn how to be African American.
Yeah, I mean yes, exactly. It's taught. You're taught. Because I grew up in a majority Black world, I didn't grow up considering the color of my skin. I just didn't. So that experience you had when you were little, I mean, I didn't experience what I should say. I experienced the color of my skin. What I didn't experience was race. I experienced complexion, but not race. So that illusion is something that I had to learn when I moved to the States. And it's an illusion. Race is an illusion. And it's something that then becomes a reality because of how systemic that illusion has been made. But ultimately, I grew up in an environment where other things defined who I was. My tribe, my gender, my class, before my race. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a very African American struggle that you're speaking of, and I didn't even have that perspective until speaking with some of my Black friends who come from different places, London, Canada. I'm looking at my friends here, Lupita's from Kenya and Mexico. And so these nuances of how race manifests and how racism manifests in like the most micro way, in microaggressions that make you feel like an outsider. It's an unspoken, like there's an alchemy that, and as a Black person you feel it. And particularly, and it's something that's hard to talk about or identify or pinpoint because it's very rarely the gross examples of racism that you see in the news, right? Especially if you're, the token Black friend or the token Black hire in a predominantly white company. Usually, the way racism shows up is in subtle, subconscious, microaggressions that are just, unless you know, and this is what defines privilege. It's not having to see the discrimination that doesn't affect you. And so that is why creating these safe spaces where you can look into the eyes of someone and almost without speaking, no, I get it, I see it. And to be affirmed in that is so important. And so I think we need allies. And the allies don't need to be the same color as us. I remember when I was coming up at Teen Vogue, someone that I worked with who was other in his own way, he was a gay man who grew up in a Catholic, Italian family who understood what it is to be other. He became my colleague at Teen Vogue and helped me find the courage to find my voice. And I remember this one specific example. And by the way, guys, I just want to say this as a caveat, as a disclaimer, I didn't write an advice book on purpose. And I don't have all of the answers. What I did is I shared some of my stories because I think when I tell the truth, when women tell the truth, we wake up other women to their truth. And so what I can extend to you is a truth, an anecdote from my experience. And in this moment where I was struggling with that very thing, for the first time, I was held up as like the only Black editor here to make a difference. And it's like, how do I do that? And I remember being in this position where I was kind of carried around. I felt like I was like on a pony show. And I found myself in this white corporate, Midwest corporate room, executive suite. And I enter the room, and I'm only 25, but I'm in a director's position. So I already am dealing with my own measure of imposter syndrome. And I enter the room, and it's all white people, but I grew up with that. I'm fine. But the woman comes up to me and she greets me and says, "We're so glad to have you here, Elaine. Thank you for being here. Oh, thank you for, we've been running you all around like a slave."
What? What?
And in that moment, you know, people say they don't see race until moments like that happen.
Oh, wow.
And suddenly the burden and the onus was on me to alleviate her from her discomfort in making me uncomfortable. And it's these nuanced exchanges that we deal with every single day. And by this point in my life, I've been dealing with this in little ways, in big ways, in medium ways, my whole life. So you do the math in that moment and you just make a calculation. Is it worth the utter humiliation, awkwardness, potentially retaliation, if I address this directly? At 25, new in a job, no. So I just smiled and I acted like it didn't happen. I made a joke and moved on with the meeting. When I came back to my office and I shared this with my colleague, white guy, he was enraged. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. He was like, "I'm so sorry that happened to you. I can't believe that happened to you. What did you say? Why didn't you say something?" And honestly, I never expected someone who is so different from me to feel that level of empathy and to help me realize that in his rage, I realized I had rage I hadn't even acknowledged. And then I was able to exercise it, and I was able to cry, and I was able to get mad about all the times things like that had happened to me. I just didn't have anyone on the inside that I could ever share that with, who I expected to be able to understand, really understand. And so I say all of that to say, find your tribe. Find people who see you, and find people who can lift you back up in those moments when the world asks you to shrink, and will encourage you to continue to expand.
Yeah.